What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. I'm going to do a bit more survival with Yi-Lin, just because I know there's a lot of stuff that's going to be dropping soon, and, well, you guys are probably playing with the new update as of the time that this goes live anyway, and Brass should be available. So we'll have a new character, we'll have a bunch of changes to trap triggers, and there's just a lot of things to go over. Now, I want to do some more gameplay videos. I want to go over some of the changes to the traps. I'll probably do the trap changes as just like a single video, like with the changes to the triggers and just how significant the next patch is going to be. But for now, this is just going to be a gameplay match. So I haven't finished maximum security with Yi-Lin yet, so I'm just going to do that just to get a better grasp of basically what she can do. I kind of understand a good bit of it so far, and some of her stuff is like really OP, and the rest of it's kind of lacking. And I want to see if I can actually like discuss some of that while I'm going over this, but of course there'll eventually be a hero overview video for her too. Probably won't take as long as the one I did for Deadeye because there won't be as many holidays and I don't have to travel as much in the near future, so we should be good. Let's see what we can get put together.
My loyalty to Chang'e brings me here.
Wow, that is some very authentic pronunciation. More so than I expected from the English voice actor or actress.
I consider every trap carefully.
Either way, pretty good. So I haven't played a lot with Yi-Lin for the channel, and I think it's a good idea to show like some of what she can do. I think she's actually a really interesting melee choice in the game right now, just because of her mix of high damage abilities and speed. But at the same time,
are a great technological advancement. Impossible.
If not carefully managed,
Is the most harmonious.
as far as her HP goes, she can actually get you in some very dangerous situations. Okay, so let's actually do that there. I'm not sure I want to put anything else there at the moment. Well, I guess I could do this.
With these traps, I protect the Empire.
Let everything flip that way, and it's not a very solid defense for the beginning, but I think Yi-Lin's damage output and the ability to control enemies should be good enough that I won't have to worry about it. We'll drop a Guardian there, and if you're using cheaper traps, you could probably trap up the walls here. Most of the enemies will probably be traveling through this area just so that I can get some good damage on them. And I'm not really focusing on 5-starring here. I'm gonna make a best attempt, but I will probably be more so talking about the character. So yep, just putting that out there if I don't 5-star it. I'm still unsure of if there were any specific changes made to the pathing flags previously, because the last time I was on this map, I believe the enemies pathed like really weirdly, and I have no idea why their pathing had changed. So we'll see if that changes anything here. Now, I probably haven't talked about this specifically, but Yi-Lin's energy system is different than any other character in the game in that she has a smaller pool. It regenerates in groups of, in a chunk of 5 energy every time it goes up. It's not to say she gets 5 energy a second. It takes a few seconds to regenerate, but it's somewhere around 1.2 energy per second, and gotta be careful. So let me see if I can, yes, can still grab pickups. All right. So it's important. Whoa. Oh, that's not smart of me. Okay. Got to remember. So I don't want to put that there.
Traps are a great technological.
And I probably want to move that. So the actually I could have put that back then. All right, whatever. You can do it that way. And we're also going to put one of these here. And those. Okay, how strong is this? You know what? We're just going to worry about the other thing there. Let the traps and our guardian do his job. Now, one of the things about Yi-Lin's right click is the more damage that is on whatever she hits, the more damage it will take. I'm not sure of the exact buff, or if the damage increases directly based on like the exact number of missing HP, but basically the heavier the max HP of the minions hit, the more ridiculous that ability will become. Alright, need you guys to just die. I'm gonna take Healing Moon for my first Weaver upgrade. It seems to be the best choice in my opinion, because the others really don't offer anything for single player. Okay, so here's what I wanted to do here. Of course, that is pointless. Ooh, for most of these enemies. Actually, I don't even need to do anything there right now. Alright. Okay. So the her right click ability isn't going to do a ton of damage if the enemies have not been weakened in some way. So that's important to remember. Most of her abilities have pretty much zero cooldown too. So that's a really nice aspect there. Alright, these guys need to die sooner rather than later. That can be fixed.
After much meditation,
Actually, I shouldn't put that there.
fits my strategy.
They work better when they can shoot around the corners.
Traps. I protect the Empire. Traps are
Alright, that should be more than enough.
advancement.
Alright, so most of the enemies that are coming through here are going to path directly around now. What used to happen is they would just sort of fly through that center section and then turn around. It's actually a good thing that they go through this section first now, because it should allow for faster clears if you can get over here and trap this area up immediately. As you can see, the traps that I have set up on the left side seem to basically be handling everything excellently. However, we could use a bit more work over here, so let's get that done.
Surprisingly easy to grasp.
Okay, so I like to make sure that I have a
Consider every trap
few boss crossbows over here, and because I have a ton of coin left, that's the regular one. I screwed that up.
Yes, that placement is suitable.
One more won't hurt. And because most of these abilities aren't bad, this is actually a tough choice. Her tier 2 choice is probably better in most aspects than her tier 4 choices, and I'll kind of talk about that a bit more probably when I'm not in the heat of everything. But essentially, all of these Weaver choices are really nice. You're probably going to wind up taking the element of surprise, because Imperial Reach is like her go-to move for dealing a ton of damage. Element of speed is probably going to be important as well, and that's universally good, like regardless of the number of people that you're playing with. I haven't checked the scaling on element of surprise yet to see if the damage gains are based on your damage multiplier, because there's a number of damage multipliers in the game. There is your account level damage multiplier, there's the player number damage modifier, and just a lot of other things that you can get, like trait modifiers, a lot of things that can just boost your damage. And going over how like weird mechanics for specialized attacks may, wow, that, okay, that bosses are gonna die. going over all the mechanics with those is kind of weird, and it's something that I'll probably do like a more in-depth video on, just spanning multiple characters and different attacks to scale weirdly. But that's to say that I know the move's strong. I'm just not sure if basically in 100% of situations you want to select that Weaver, because moving faster is nice, and movement speed comes with a lot of sort of secondary advantages, like just being able to deal damage to groups quicker if they are more spaced out, and that is actually even more important as enemies or maps get further spread out or stages are larger. And it overcomes a lot of odd obstacles that you wouldn't expect it to as well. So these guys are just going to get a ton of those, and then we will probably do something similar for the rest of the map. Yeah, you're gonna die. Good luck with that. I hate when he gets a ton of buffs after he's dead, or when he gives out a ton of buffs. Like, this guy should not be getting further HP increases after the guy died and the shield wore off the first time. This still seems weird to me. This tier 3 is pretty much always aspect of the tiger for me. Dropping aggro doesn't seem super important. Okay, if they're just gonna turn around, that's okay. These guys can actually take... Whoa. Okay, as long as I can avoid the firelings and still keep my HP high, I should be great. It's important to understand that her HP regeneration as part of Moon's Reflection is not instant. It does have a period that it heals over a specific amount of time, and knowing that can save you a lot of trouble.
Traps are a great technological advancement.
Okay. I just realized that that's not a good idea because I have the
And our heroes destroyed the unstable rift, and there was much rejoicing. Well done. The unstable rift has been destroyed.
I swore the fire for a second was like another unstable rift. I was like, where did you come from? Okay, so this actually works a little bit better than I initially expected. They may blast them, and traps can still refresh their cooldowns or their refire time while they're disabled. So if the disable happens to overlap with them, cooling down from firing, then if they manage to basically become able to fire again, then they will fire immediately if something is within range. So that's actually not as bad as it looks. What am I looking at now? Time's up top. Alright, so I got six minutes and 4 waves, well 5 waves to go, because I'm on 10. Okay. Not really worried about that too much. We can put another wall guy over here. Those will pretty much do what they need to. Those guys are getting wrecked by the Guardian. Not bad. The pull from that seems to be a lot smaller than I actually expected to be. Alright, so I'm not particularly impressed with the Weavers here. The Blessing of Health really isn't useful because she has very low HP, and reaching that threshold basically means that you have to get really defensive, and increase is nice, but like getting to just 100% HP is pretty much like a feat in and of itself. As I'm near level 100, so I have almost twice the HP that you start with. It's going to be something a little bit more difficult at lower levels, though enemies will deal a bit less damage. Blessing of Power is okay. Like, it's a damage increase on a move you probably should be using more often, so obviously it can't really be bad. Just want to make sure that those guys are getting hit. And then this issue back here is basically my fault. Well, I did not mean to do that, but whatever. Not that big a deal.
Yes, that placement is suitable. I have a plan in mind.
If there's any stragglers, they should just be hit. And that I won't have to worry about too much. Because, unfortunately, Tempest Strike is on cooldown because I accidentally used it. I'm going to go with the Blessing of Power just because I rarely ever use White Tiger Claw. It's not really necessary for rotations against anything that's not super heavy. And even then, you really only use it like once. The right click, just spamming it, does so much damage that I think eventually it may actually get toned down if it winds up becoming like the reason that people use the character. Because I mean, she's okay with the rest of her abilities even outside of Imperial Reach. Imperial Reach is just really strong, like scarily strong. Okay, let's try to do that.
An unstable rift is opening. It must be destroyed.
Alright. They're probably going to open another rift on me. Not putting that past anybody. But I do have a lot of Ballista over here, so they may have just powered through it for me. Where Yi-Lin is just like this magical damage fairy. She shows up, swings the hook swords, and everything murders. I'd probably rename her from a Jade Sentinel to a Murder Elemental. Seems about right. Okay, so we're doing way better than I expected. Since I haven't really tested this particular setup, just kind of throwing it out there. Alright, so we got to kill the 3 bosses in the last wave of this. And we should have more than enough time. Wow, so you can see the boss, like the BGH Ballistas pretty much did a lot of damage to that boss. And because of that, her Imperial Reach just does even more damage right out of the gate. So, you know, the fact that it combos well with traps is something that you don't have entirely too often in Orcs. It's something that I like because hero trap combos are actually one of the things I was hoping to see a lot of sort of intricacies with. Oh, nice. I got the achievement, too. Emperor's Reach. They could have changed that to use it like 1,000 times in combat. People would probably still be reaching it really quick. But... and I know I'm over leveled, but that was like way easier than I expected. Damage dealt by traps, 500,000. Damage dealt by the player, 200 grand. So, yeah, traps did a lot. And I would probably blame that on the floor scorchers and the overload traps, actually, because of the fact that overload works with non-damaging floor traps now. it is such a good combo. Like, just not having to worry about floor traps being disabled, especially when you pair them with something like the always on tar traps. It is so good now. I mean, it wasn't as bad as a lot of people complained about it before, but I wanted some utility that didn't completely make floor traps useless, because there's just not a lot of combined floor, wall, and ceiling space, or even just floor ceiling combos with no walls that would make the way that it worked previously just okay. But still, it's really nice now. I think with the last patch, there were actually some changes to baths that allow you to put ceiling ballista in the room with the gate, right about right here, where they can actually target like the enemies that are passing through here. So there's actually a few more possibilities here that I might try out later on in like another attempt to dominate it. But there is a patch. It should be here in a few hours from when I'm recording this, but it is going to make some changes to traps. The ballista, the dragon lance, and ceiling ballista respectively, and that may actually affect quite a few things. So I will probably, I don't know, get some more videos created, and then when I have the opportunity, we will give Brass a look sometime soon. Either way, let me know if there's anything immediately that you guys want to see. I'm probably going to have to revisit a number of different things after the trap changes, because a lot of the traps that I have used in the past are being revamped. So that's going to be very interesting. There's fire trap changes incoming, just a whole lot of stuff, but I don't want to make this video too long. So as always, I sincerely appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thanks a lot. That means the world to me. And, you know, hopefully if you guys continue and you enjoy this stuff, then I can present you guys with even more things that you want to see and learn about. Either way, again, thanks. And until next time, have a good one, folks.